This is our Conversations That Matter, Parenting During a Pandemic. And we will begin just now. Thank you all for joining. This is WorkWell NYC's Conversations That Matter session called Parenting in a Pandemic, Coping Through the Uncertainty. I'm Athea Bediako. I'm a program coordinator with WorkWell NYC, and I'll be facilitating the session today. I also wanted to say that I am parenting in a pandemic. So I'll give a brief introduction about WorkWell NYC, and then I will introduce you to the panelists today. We will begin with introductions of them so they can give you a little bit of their background and ask you all just to engage a bit about some of your experience, and then get into some questions that were pre-planned, and then have an opportunity for you to also offer questions and contribute to this discussion. So I'm hoping that many of you are familiar with WorkWell NYC, but WorkWell NYC is the City of New York's employee wellness program. WorkWell's mission is to create, WorkWell NYC seeks to create workplaces that help employees live healthy, active lifestyles, and to provide health and well-being services, programs, and resources at the worksite and beyond. Beyond has definitely been a place that we've been operating now as all of our programs have gone virtual. We recognize that health and wellness is not just the absence of disease, but there's a continuum. There's a spectrum with which wellness lies, and that there are many parts, including mental, financial, physical, emotional, etc. So we have several areas of focus within the WorkWell NYC programming. Move More is our physical activity focus area, which includes things like the September Challenge, which some of you might be participating in, our annual walking or annual step challenge, in addition to some other fitness opportunities that are going to be up and coming, in addition to all of our virtual fitness classes. Be Well, Thrive NYC is the mental wellness component of our programming, which includes things like meditation classes, gratitude challenges, and different areas to help you thrive in that mental health and resilient space. Take Action is our preventative health component, which includes things like our annual flu vaccine campaign, in addition to hypertension reduction classes or hypertension classes. And we also offer the DPP, the Diabetes Prevention Program. And Eat Well is our healthy eating sort of area. We have several kinds of programming that falls within that area, including virtual cooking demonstrations, healthy eating webinars, and Weight Watchers, what's called now WW, also falls in that area where we have weight management programming. So we invite you to stay connected with WorkWell, to participate in more of these if you have not already, or continue to participate in them. So Project Build is another area, interest area within the WorkWell NYC programming, standing for Bridging Understanding, Inclusion, Learning, and Diversity, providing platforms for city employees to learn, share, and discuss difficult but important topics. We recognize that there are areas of importance, racial injustice, and this is a public health consideration, and we know that our aim of wellness for City of New York employees has to be, we have to consider equity and fostering inclusion and understanding and respect to really reach those aims. So this is an area of focus, and the hope is to build a more equitable and inclusive city together. So for the conversation today, everyone is muted now, thank you. And we'll continue to operate in that way until there is an opportunity to ask questions. So it's possible to include questions within the chat feature. I see some of you already have taken advantage of that. And you could also raise your hand, and I will do my best to unmute and let you ask your question live if you'd like. Note that if you're asking in that way, feel free to ask for a friend. I think that this is a closed forum to some extent. We are recording, but consider, that this is a safe space. But you always have that ask for a friend option. And if you want to type questions into the chat, it can be done just to WorkWell NYC, so they're sort of anonymously, or you can type them into the broader chat feature where everyone has access to it. So we will move ahead with a poll to get a little bit more engagement for you. And I actually am achieving a bit of a glitch here, not able to access the poll right now. Let me see if I got any chat from my team, which can help. Okay, so I plan to launch a poll, which I have not been able to do just yet because of, it looks like a check issue. But we're getting some feedback just with the comments about ages of children. I'll see if I can again. Yeah, I'm not getting an opportunity to launch the poll, but we intended to ask you this question to get feedback about the diversity that's in the room. But just looking at the chat, I won't be able to do it as gracefully as Zoom will. But there is some diversity here. I see some teenagers, some younger ones. So I'm sure that there is some great diversity in the ages that are in the of the children for the participants who are in this virtual space today. So again, thank you all for being here. And I'll move on with offering an introduction to our participants. Okay, bear with me. I feel like a sneeze is coming. And it passed. Okay, so on the line today as our panelists, we have Jerry Hippolyte from Department of Youth and Community Development. We have Yinka Olowole from New York City Health and Hospitals, North Central Bronx. And we have Nicole Page from CUNY Gutman College. Thank you all. Thank you for becoming visible. So I will actually pass it on to you to give a brief introduction of yourself, maybe your background in the city, the agency, what you do there, a little bit about your children, if you want to offer that, and just our first question, sort of, how are you doing? How are you and your family doing in this time? So if we begin with Jerry and then move through Yinka and then Nicole, I'll give it to you guys. So thank you.
Awesome. Good day, everybody. Thank you, Workwell. I'm excited about this conversation. I think that actually speaks to how I'm doing right now. I'm doing exceptionally well. My family as well. I'm a father and I co-parent an amazing 18-year-old college student. As you already know, I'm a deputy director at DYCD, and what you may not know is that I'm also a mental health couples and family therapist. So it actually works well with the conversation. Outside of that, I'm just excited to bring insight, to gain insight, and to hear a really great conversation with everybody on the panel, as well as some of our guests that's listening in.
Hi. Should I go next? Hi, my name is Yinka Oluwole, and I'm a patient experience officer at NYC Health and Hospitals in North Central Bronx. I've been with North Central Bronx for about a year. Prior to that, I was at Harlem Hospital for about 8 years. My kids are 20, I know, and 16. My son's in college and my daughter's a junior in high school. So different dynamic from most of the ages I see on the group chat already.
I'll go next. Good afternoon, everybody. I hope everyone can hear me. My name is Nicole Page. I'm the Assistant Director for Employee Services at Gutman Community College, one of the CUNY schools. It's in Midtown Manhattan. I've been there for 5 years and I've been a city employee for 13 years. My role there is really of employee benefits, payroll, and employee events. So we do work a lot with Workwell to bring those events to our campus. My children are 10 years old. I have a boy and a girl twins. So they're in 5th grade now and excited to share. Thank you for having me and thank you all for coming.
Super, thank you for those introductions. I wanted to just say with Workwell NYC, you all sort of are supportive of our programs. Nicole, you mentioned that, but the panelists are also people who have been able to forward our programs as ambassadors in their agency. So thank you for that. And just as that background, folks understanding the way the relationship works and how Workwell NYC comes through your agency, sometimes through dedicated staffers like the folks who we have on the line. So I wanted to begin with a conversation about school, even though college is one of the places that one of our parents, two of our parents have children. But this has been an interesting time as it pertains to distance learning and engaging children in educational environments that are atypical. So I'd love to just hear how you are managing in that environment, whether it's schooling at home or how you're able to support your children in this sort of unique educational space that has that we're in.
So
Anyone who wants to take it?
I can go first.
Okay, super.
So I during the pandemic, I worked a hybrid schedule. Sometimes I was at home and sometimes I worked from the hospital. Obviously, when you work in a hospital, you have to come in. My daughter, who's 16, lives mostly with my parents and my sister because I have to social distance from the family. So it kind of worked out, and to her advantage, actually. She became part of my sister's family. She has 2 younger kids. So everybody was on task together. They did school together. After school, everybody went outside and they did a lot of physical activity and sports together. So my brother also, who we only see once a year during vacations, actually flew in from California to stay with my sister and the kids. So they kind of created a nice community. So for us, COVID, even though I had to be social distanced from the family for most of the time and still till now, it really became a really fun time. So it was no longer like vacation once a year, it became vacation for many weeks at a time. So, they played sports at the end of the day. They would all they would cook together, sit down and eat as a family. And I'm sure most of you probably experienced this. How many of you really have time to sit and eat as a family? Because there's so many other activities most of the time during the school year. So this was like, it was so unique. Every night, everybody would sit at the table, they would have dinner together as a family. Afterwards, everyone cleaned up and then they would play board games. So for us, schoolwork became sort of like fun because now not only did you have to spend it with your classmates, you also got to spend it with cousins and extended family.
Super, bringing the family together.
Yeah.
Jerry or Nicole, did you have anything you want to add from your experiences?
Yeah, so well, it's funny. So I have my 18-year-old who's in college, and she does her thing, right? It's not like, but I also have a lot of nieces and nephews that also stay with me, and it's been an experience. So one, being in college, they automatically opted into virtual programming, and so what that looked like is the first thing is, why is everybody in the house? Because you're not so used to everyone being together, working at the same time, everybody using up the Wi-Fi, and just all the different environmental needs that happen. And so working with my nephew who's 5 and helping the teacher troubleshoot Microsoft Teams with, hey, can I get help with this term paper I got to get in my first semester, and making sure that I get on my own WebEx calls. It's definitely been finding that balance. And the part that we've had fun with is, one, connecting with each other in a different way, two, creating spaces for all of us to be able to successfully work in these new environments. And so literally creating our own little hubs while still staying connected. So like I said, it's allowed a great opportunity for us to really be creative. Like there's like a little kitty laptop tool space, maybe 4 feet away. Of course, young college students in their own room, door locked in case unless they need food or help. And then on my end, making sure that there's nothing that messes up the audio in my background. Thank God for virtual backgrounds. So it's been fun, to be honest with you, as long as you're humble enough to be creative and try to figure out what's a new way we can do this thing.
I'm muting myself back and forth because there's construction going on in outside. So that was one thing that we had to cope with now that we're remote, having to deal with all the construction going on outside and everything being moved upstairs. So please excuse me being on and off of mute. But for me, it has been a challenge, as Jerry said, to find that good balance between helping the kids on the laptops and the tablets, and then doing my own team meeting and Zoom meeting and WebEx meeting and Blackboard meeting. So between all that, it has been a challenge to find that balance. And I did encounter issues with the teachers at the school trying to get them logged in properly. So there was a lot of times when things crashed and we couldn't get into Zoom. So it was a little, it's a little weird to start the school year again. I know earlier in the week they said Google Classroom had crashed, so we were trying to make sure they got signed in time, and then trying to be able to get my work done at the same time. When we all went remote, I didn't do a hybrid schedule. It was all fully remote, and at the job I had 2 monitors. Now at home I have 1 laptop, and trying to be able to see everything, all the spreadsheets that we have open is a little rough, but I was able to get a new monitor later on in the summer, so that was much better. As far as work with the kids, they do have a lot of questions. Sometimes I'm not always listening to what they're being taught. So when they ask me, I try to go back into my 5th grade education to see exactly how can I explain this to them that makes sense. And sometimes it doesn't, and I will admit that sometimes it doesn't, and I'll have to call their teachers, and they're actually helpful. The teachers, they do respond, and they have set up these office hours this year. So if you do need help, they can always schedule like tutoring time. So that's been very, very helpful starting this school year. And as far as more personal life balance, we've done walks outside. So now with the September, I'm trying to get them to walk with me, but they don't want to walk that long. So that's perfectly fine. We'll still do a little walk earlier, and then I'll go out and try to get some more steps in. Trying to get 10,000 a day. A little rough, but we make it work. And I've purchased them these like activity kits that you get from Michael's, so they can do things other than be on the laptop working, be on the tablet working, or watching TV, or be on the tablet playing. So we can do things together as a family. So that was pretty fun. And we also do, family movie nights. So we all put our suggestions of what movies we want to watch, whether it be new movies or old movies. We put them all in an Easter egg. We shake it up, and every week one person gets to pick a movie. So then we have our little family movie night. So it's been good trying to find new things. I think that was a really good change that's happened. The fact that we get to do more things as a family. We find more activities, and it's been good. It's had its ups and downs, but I think we're managing really well.
That's really excellent. All of you guys seem well, and that's really great. I heard strategies or you were forced into some new family connections, Yinka, and also cultivated connections. It sounds like everyone carving out their physical space, making sure sound quality works for your working and their working. Ideas about how to stay together with the family night or physical activity together, even utilizing resources like Michael's for the art kits. Someone else also asked about resources for online resources for kids. So we can discuss that in a moment. But yeah, great sort of responses. So I appreciate your insights and your positive experiences that others can hopefully benefit from. I wanted to say in the introduction, and I didn't, that we hope that this space can be a space that people can share, be heard. I know that we modeled this off of another parenting in a pandemic conversation that happened at ACS that I participated in. And I left feeling like people want to be heard, they want to share. And a lot of it was sort of like, oh, me too, So I'm hoping that that is part of what the result of this conversation will be. So for our audience participants, understand that that's the intention, not necessarily to give you all the answers, but to share and be able to give you an opportunity to share if you'd like that. So one of the things that I heard you all say a bit about some of your wellness strategies, walking, art, engaging with your family, making sure that you're balancing work and the needs that you have with the family. So from Work Well, we are very interested in wellness and how you maintain that. So the question is about self-care, wellness practices, and if there are any other tips and tools that you've implemented or that you're aiming to implement, any ideas that you want to share with the participants today. Yinka, I see you're not muted. You want to hit it off for us again?
So earlier in the pandemic, I think Workwell had done a virtual 5K, right? So I love the idea so much. We decided for the 4th of July, we were going to do something called Go Forth and Run. So our family put together a whole Go Forth and Run. So I have family members all over the world since I'm Nigerian. I have people in Paris, London, Nigeria, and here in the United States. So together we created a walking wellness group, and it's continued. So every month we have a different challenge and a different focus. So one month was all about mindfulness. So we had mindfulness activities. One month was also about happiness. So what are the different happy moments, your, what do we call it, win moments, you know, so things like that. So we would kind of just make it fun. So it became not just the community that we see, but the community at large. Again, I'm social distance from my family, so I'm always looking for ways to increase my connection with others. For my kids, what they did for wellness, again, is I've also, because my son's 20, and I'm like, come on, you got to join us. And like most people say, the younger ones don't want to take part in the walking challenge. So my daughter always says this September thing has to end soon. But, you know, just really getting them engaged in other activities. So my daughter plays volleyball. All the kids, they got a volleyball net for the back of the house. They would play badminton, volleyball, basketball, soccer. So every time I would go over, even though I'm social distance, I'll sit far away, and then they would do that most of the day. You know, so you know, just trying to incorporate a lot of physical activity. Didn't think of the Michaels kit, but we did think of the sports kits.
I guess I'll jump in real quick. One of the things that I know we've created, you hear me say a lot the word create, because we get to reimagine what family life looks like in this new space, right? And so one of the things that I know we were very intentional about was creating a space for everything, right? One, we created space for concerns and cares. So if you were feeling some type of way, all right, cool, let's talk about it. We did a little bit of like emotional coaching. All right, why are you afraid? And let's label it, let's call it out. Now let's speak to it. It's part of our own like emotional as well as like social fitness within our own family. Like I'm not saying this for other people, but what are you feeling in this time? Especially one of the things that, and we try to have really strong conversation. I know we're talking about COVID, and one of the things that I remember hearing of COVID was that COVID is like the disease or the illness of pre-existing conditions. And I take that on a more broader sense. If you have a pre-existing condition of any type of anxiety or any type of financial issue or any type of home stress, all it does is magnify it, right? And so in those spaces, there's times when my daughter would get anxiety. All right, cool. What does that mean right now? And how are you feeling? Let's put that in place and let's begin to talk about it. And going back to what Yinka was saying, we try to come up with different activities we could do as a family. And so she would come up, I don't know how to do it. She would try to do TikTok dances, and I would actually try to get involved with it. Okay, cool. How do we do that stuff, right? I go to the gym, I work out a lot, and she would come with me. My nephews and nieces, try to get them involved. And also, again, creating that space. What do you like to do, and how can we be more engaged in it in this new environment? Sometimes it looked like just going for a walk. Sometimes it looked like actually going to play sports. And then other times, what it looked like was like home competitions, like who can do what better, whether it was cook-offs, right? And I won one, right? Or it's been, and I even try to do it with schooling, like academic challenges. All right, cool. Let's see who can get to what first as relates with essay papers, or maybe it was a math writing, but trying to stay fit in the full term of what that is, right? And creating a space where we can be connected. And if we do fall, that's okay, as long as we're there to pick each other up. So like that's kind of one of the tools that we've been using.
Anything
Yes.
to add, Nicole?
Yes. So self-care, family care has been a big thing to address here. So I know for me personally, I do walk. So the September came in handy. It's coming in handy. I did try to take the kids out for walks when it was, warmer. So, trying to find masks that fit for their faces was kind of rough, but we did. No destination. We just walked around the neighborhood, different avenues we haven't seen before, and then just come on back home. So that was something that was good. I did take advantage of WorkWell's fitness classes that they had. Thank you for offering those virtually. So I did a lot of the sofa classes. I did some of the yoga classes. So that helped as far as me winding down from the very long day in front of the computer screen. And with the kids, it was a little different because they did experience some sadness not being able to be around friends, and they missed the interaction, you know. So I was able to get in contact with some teachers, and they were able to call me back so they can speak to, you know, the kids. So at least this way they'll have more of a personal conversation, and like with the guidance counselor at the school. So they offered that as well. So that was helpful, you know, during the school year. That was very helpful. And as far as getting back outside, the school, the after school program, Harlem Children's Zone, they were giving away bikes. So my kids got bikes, and trying to take them outside to learn how to ride. That was kind of hard because I don't know how to ride a bike. So it was a learning experience for both of us. That was kind of fun for all of us. So there was that. And yeah, we're still trying to find, you know, some more ways, some newer ways to be able to you know, do more self-care.
It's great. It's nice to hear that you all identified some great strategies, creativity, like you said, Jerry, and creativity from all really. But I like the go forth and run. But hearing that there are definitely strategies that have been able to be employed. And you know, I'm happy to hear that some WorkWell NYC opportunities as well have been serving some of you. In each of your comments, you spoke a little bit about emotional realities in this time. So I wanted to just speak to that, considering you know, this international health crisis and lots that actually has transpired. Physical changes, social, emotional, and I know another big area of change, as we have been more aware maybe of some racial injustices or violence, racialized violence that's existed, in the ways that we respond and the ways that we try to keep our children safe, you know, when it comes to that sort of thing. And loads of emotions have come up. So anxiety and fear were two questions I was going to ask, sort of like how are you managing, but anything, you know, that might show up, any other emotion. So maybe, yeah, I just wanted to hear, like, I think some of these self-care strategies, you know, might be some of the ways that you respond, but just hear from you about, you know, how folks are able to deal with these times. Another consideration is lots of loss that has happened sometimes, whether it's people, loved ones, because of the health realities, or just losses of all the stuff that we have known, you know, as our realities have shifted so dramatically. So anyone who wants to take it, if you want to just speak to that a little bit, and your managing strategies.
So I think I'll jump in real quick. Only, our family has unfortunately seen a loss, but I think your question is kind of layered, right? How do you speak to the emotion, and then how do you deal with the loss, right? And so one of the areas with emotions that I know within the family that we've really, again, creating that space for, I would love to say a lot of it is my expertise, but when it's at home, it hits different. And so you have to be that much more connected and on your A game. And I say that from one, acknowledging, again, how you feel, what you're feeling, and then taking that acknowledgement and speaking to, okay, what is the reality of the situation, right? And sometimes you can be anxious for something that you're projecting into the future that hasn't even occurred yet. And so where are we right now? What can we do right now? So I have a lot of grown conversations with my daughter. Okay, so where are we right now? What are we feeling? Sometimes I need it in reverse. So it's not just her, it's myself. And she would check me and she would speak to me. And when I say speak to, allow that space for that feeling to exist and for us to get it out. And I think that's the first thing. My nephews, they're a little bit too young to feel. I think it speaks back to, forgive me, I don't remember the name, but one of our panelists said earlier, I can't hang out with my friends the way I want to, right? And there's like a little frustration, but not that level of anxiety. With my daughter, there's a little bit of course, the racial injustice tensions that's out there, and speaking to how can I be more involved and more engaged in what that looks like. And as it relates to loss, at that time, it was really allowing space for grief to be and go through those steps organically, because everyone feels it differently. The hardest part about it was not being able to be present or finding a different way to connect, because you can't go to the hospital, and funerals look different, right? They're virtual now, and like I said, it moves a little bit different. So finding a way to connect and not allowing yourself, or just being reminded that when I say it wasn't your fault, I'm saying to be there, right? Knowing that, okay, maybe I physically can't be there, but whether it's virtually, thank God for Microsoft Teams, the platforms that we're on right now with Zoom, but I'm going to find a way to stay connected. And in that space, with that acknowledgement, it allows the healing to continue to go forward in a healthy way, as well as yourself to continue to connect versus disconnect and put yourself in an isolation pattern, which sometimes it feels like COVID is trying to do. But I'm grateful for everyone's better part of their human nature, just to connect more.
I can just add a little something to that. My daughter suffers from anxiety, and initially she was staying with my parents. So I found that by her moving over to my sisters with the other kids and being a little bit more physically active and just having, you know, the kids to be around and my sister and my brother to be around and getting the chance to really talk through things, that also helped. My son, who was always very happy-go-lucky and really never pays attention to a whole lot, I noticed that his need to sit and talk to me more and really find out what was going on, because, you know, you see a lot of stuff on the TV, but what's really going on in the hospital? What's going on in New York City? Is it as bad as they say it is? So I noticed that he probably was experiencing a little bit more anxiety than I've ever seen him have, because he usually doesn't pay attention to a whole lot. So what my brother did a lot was gather the kids together. There are 7 grandkids in our family, and he would gather them together virtually and just talk about a lot of these things. So what they have decided to do as the grandkids in our family was to put together a group where every single month they focus on one charity that is being, you know, I would say Black charities around the country that they can focus on and learn a little bit more about, and then collectively put together some money and send it to that charity. So we've kind of tackled this from a couple of different ways, talking a lot more about things, social injustices, you know, all the things that are going on in the media, just so that they have an opportunity to really talk about it with us more than they probably would have in the past. And, you know, just kind of give them the emotional support that I guess a close family unit can. And it's very helpful when you have, I guess, a lot of family around.
That's great. Connecting is a theme that I'm hearing in all of those conversations. So that's super. Nicole, do you want to add anything?
Just really quickly, as far as, you know, emotional well-being, I know for us in our immediate family, we have not had any loss, thank goodness, but it has been around us a lot. And so again, you know, the school providing the guidance counselor to be able to call us and we call him, and being able to speak to the kids, that's been very helpful. And our employee assistance program provides that 24/7 counseling services. So that has been helpful. I've taken advantage of that. And as far as friends and family, you know, I've let them know that, you know, we can talk, you know, we can be here for each other. If you just want to vent and I not say anything, don't worry. And it's, you know, been reciprocated as well. And I also, you know, try to let them know that there are services out there if they did want to speak to someone else professionally. You know, I tried to plug in that NYC Thrive and our employee assistance program. So the services that are out there have been very helpful for us.
That's great. Like I said, I heard themes of connectivity, and that's wonderful, whether it's family and, you know, finding resources within your own, you know, or reaching out for resources that exist in other places, as employees, as, you know, with the school, that sort of thing. The grow conversation, I love that framing too, Jerry. I have a 6-year-old, but I feel like she's mature in some ways too. And I think that it probably will look very different than your college age daughter, but, you know, those are kinds of things that we can, you know, apply in different kinds of spaces. So that's great. One of the comments we got was just about someone just not feeling okay, you know, and I think that I heard some of that in what you all said too, like you're finding all kinds of successful strategies to cope, but there's also time that, you know, or there's understanding that sometimes we're just not okay, and that's part of this experience because it's just so much, you know, so that that's a reality. So Yinka, you spoke about the giving and the charity connectivity that the grandkids in your family began. Actually the last question that I'll offer from me, and then I'll pose it to any more questions from the community if folks want to either raise hands or type in chat questions. But the last one I'll give until we pass it on a little bit more to the audience is positives that have come from this time. So, I mean, there are challenges, which we've spoke about, and I hear you guys also talking about connectivity with family and sort of being creative and finding ways to make this work. But the giving to charity sounds like a potential positive. I'm not sure if there's any other things that you'd call silver linings or areas that you know, are happy about maybe as a result of this unique time that you'd want to speak on.
Yes, I'll jump in. I'll go by the order of the mics, right? And so, put my video back on, sorry about that. I think that one of the things that came out of it, well, there's two big things that came out of it on our end. One, I'm appreciative that the entire household really got a higher appreciation of life and relationships, right? And so, like, if we weren't playing like family games before we really got into that, and it was just not the immediate family, like we have weekly virtual calls with family that are abroad just to check in on everyone. And now it's just become like Thanksgiving every Friday, right? Just virtually. The other thing is that it's also created a space for passion projects across the board. And I'm not just saying it within myself. My daughter literally got into nails, right? And I went through every variation of colors of nails because of it, right? My nephews and nieces got into different sports that they had never picked up before. And allowing that to exist from arts and crafts and just these different passions that where before life was exceptionally busy and you had a certain set of routine, where now you can cultivate a very different rhythm of life and what that looks like. And so that has actually been a silver lining within the family, and I'm actually pushed them to lean towards. So I'll give it back to my fellow panelists on their thoughts.
So I'll share one silver lining. So like I said, evening meals was a big thing. So cooking together as a family. So my sister started ordering these kits, the home kits, I forget what they're called. And it started because my sister's cooking was pretty bad. So the other night I go over to hang out with them after I had gotten COVID tested. I got to spend a week with them. My daughter was sitting at the table and she goes, "Wow, Antioch, but thank God for COVID. Your cooking has surely improved." So if anything, one of the silver linings has been spending time together and seeing my sister's cooking improving. As far as wellness, that's been a big part of what I love. And I've been able to bring a lot of my friends and family along on the journey through COVID. I have a cousin who is severely overweight. And just this weekend, we did the scavenger hunt across the Brooklyn Bridge. We walked both ways, something he probably would never have been able to do before. So COVID's allowed us to increase wellness, of course, reset as a family and connect.
And yes, for me personally, as a silver lining, no more subway. No more traveling on the trains. I don't have to wake up at 5 a.m. to get the kids together and get them to school on time and then travel on the subway and getting bumped next to people. So that was a more hands-on silver lining for us. We do try to, spend as much time as we can as a family, and then being here together. I think for me, my kids, they're twins. So they've always had this kind of close connection, this close bond. But for the most part, they spend a lot of time separated because in the classroom, they have different classrooms. They're in different classrooms altogether. Now that they're here together, you would think they would get on each other's nerves more, but it seems the opposite has happened. They're more into, playing with each other, playing games. I've never seen them play games as much together as they do now. So it seems like that has kind of strengthened for them. And so I'm really, proud of that. I'm very happy for that. And as far as wellness goes, I think we've all experienced some of the quarantine 15. So that's been something else that we've got to, try. And I've actually started to get my son to try more vegetables. So that's another thing I'm very proud about. So it does have its, silver linings. It has. We weren't too sure how this was even going to look When we started in March, being stuck in the house, we were all kind of worried and anxious and things. And now it seems like, we've gotten the ball rolling, and a lot of new and happy things have come out of this. So that's been really great.
It's great that there can be some positives too. The cooking, it's fun. The being more connected to passion projects and those sorts of things. And the train, of course, that has been the case for some people who are have been able to make that shift. And your twins connectivity. So those are all great items. I saw someone else put in the chat about a scavenger hunt idea. So other sort of creative ways to engage family. Returning to gardening more, the eating veggies possibly, or just like connecting with that passion project / wellness, activity. So these are great things. A few questions came through the chat that I wanted to ask about to see if you guys can respond to. I'm not sure if either of them are within your family's realities, but Nicole, I think you said you had 11-year-olds, right? So someone asked about 10-year-old enrichment ideas, whether I think more like digital enrichment supports. But if any of you have ideas based on your other, extended family or whatever you want to speak about to keep the kids engaged, enriched in a way that I'm assuming is probably not just watching YouTube or TV or something like that.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep them away from YouTube as much as I can, but it's unavoidable sometimes. But yeah, they're 10. So some of the things I really did like the Michaels kits that they had, because it wasn't just art, it was STEM kits as well. So we did some digging, some archaeological digging, and there was one kit that I really did like, where we were able to use our smartphones to make a dinosaur come to life. So it was a dinosaur in our living room, and we put together fossils. We dug out, gems and things, and they got to learn what the gems were called, what the fossils were called, where they actually belong, what this dinosaur is, when they lived. So that was really really good as far as enriching things. And then we had some engineering where we put together like cars, and we made volcanoes, and what's the other thing, like crystals, like we formed crystals in a small aquarium type thing. So I think Michael's was a really good place for me to start. And there are some other things that I wanted to try out as well. The idea about the scavenger hunt seems really nice, so maybe you'll try that out before it gets too cold. But that's where we got some more enriching things to do, not just party all the time stuff.
Did either, okay.
So, yeah, I just wanted to add to that. I love what was just said. Nicole hit a lot of stuff in the head, and I would add that if you can, I know that our teachers are our, typically our primary educators, but parents are usually the first educators, right? And so what I mean by that saying that is learning your child's learning style, and that's across any age group. And when you realize your child's learning style, you can now create the learning environment for them to be truly engaged. I think all of us are spending an unusually large amount of time on screen time. And so finding different ways, first understanding how they learn, and then incorporating that in different types of activities that's further removed from the screen, that you can actually show, play, engage with them, that will really take it to another level. Like I said, when I was working with my nephew, he's a visual learner, right? And so what that came out with, I just went outside and we started pointing out different things from different birds and animals that we can find to speak to some of the class lessons. One, help them get outside, and two, we can speak to different stuff versus staying locked into finding a picture or emoji on the laptop screen and actually physically do something. And first we have to figure out, okay, what was his best learning style? Okay, now let's take it outside of this setting and create our own. And it gave him the space for him to be independent and say, this is how I want to do it. All right, cool, now let's go and do it, and be open to that.
Thanks, Jerry. Yinka,
someone also mentioned yoga. I have an 11-year-old nephew, and yoga and meditation was something that he and my brother would practice together. So I don't know. I know some people have said that worked, and it worked for him as well. Because it's hard to keep an 11-year-old within the house. And that was something that really helped my sister out, just the yoga and the meditation.
I saw dancing also included, and that's actually something that me and my daughter do. Something I love. I've always loved to dance, but it is a physically active thing. It's also a emotionally sort of freeing thing because it's like no holds bar, no judgment. You know, it's just sort of we're doing our thing. And I found some kids relevant music, but also things that I like, she likes. So that's one strategy we also use. Thank you all for those tips and tools. I appreciated the notion of considering who you're trying to support and how they are best supported, because maybe that'll help to advise what works for them, you know? So yeah. We also asked, moving to a different end of the spectrum, and I'm not sure how much you all have to support this age population, but someone asked about supporting babies. So someone with a 7-month-old, just want some insight. And I'll begin to, like, if we have kids, we all have had 7-month-olds. And one of the things that I know from my experience when my little one was at that time is how I am affects a lot how they are. So all of these strategies of sort of knowing who you're trying to support, maybe they can be turned inward to be able to like do what's best for you. And that might make you be able to be best able to support that young child. But yeah, we have, you know, a question that if anyone has any more insights to offer for that age, if you want to jump in, and then we'll actually probably close about here and bring back the slides and offer a little bit more about what's coming up with WorkWell. And if there are no insights, a pass is also fine. Okay, all of you have older children, so
it's been a while since they've been 7 months.
It's been a long time. Mine's 20 and 16, so. Other than music, and because we used to do a lot of like those music groups where you get to play instruments and things like that, but I really don't know anymore.
One tip that was offered is sleep whenever you can. Thank you for that. And as I remember that stage, I think that that's a really important strategy. Yeah, everyone's saying sleep. Find a way to do that. Sleep when they sleep.
Yes.
I think one of the things I would love to add in, this is for parents across every spectrum, is to also add space for yourself. Like in this new time that we're in, I guess because most people are working virtually, and the fact that it's easy to get called into an appointment, whether it's making sure you're there for your children or just getting called a work appointment, and you forget to schedule a break and a time for you, and you don't have to feel guilty for it. Like take that time so you can reset, be your best self, so you can show up with your best self for everyone else. And so if I could leave on anything, one of my saving graces is making sure that I schedule, it could be 30 minutes, whatever that time looks like for you, so you can be your best self for everyone else.
Super.
Yeah, that's a great point. I worked hybrid, so a lot of that didn't really affect me as much, but I had a conversation with my sister yesterday, and we just talked about how what you just said is really scheduling time to create some balance in her day. Because when you're working at home, you can find yourself working all day, you know, and really not scheduling time for your kids. So everyone knows between before 8 o'clock, my sister is out walking, and we're usually doing the virtual walks together. And then at 5 o'clock, she stops everything she's doing and she goes to cooking, you know, so it's really scheduling that balance into your life, you know, and then on the weekends, if she has to work, it's only a small pocket of time. And then she shuts it down, puts the phone away, and then she refocuses on what's important for that weekend.
Thank you for offering that sort of final takeaway as well, Jerry and Yinka, if that was if that was a bit of a final takeaway for you. Nicole, if there's any other sort of like, you know, what you'd like to leave folks with?
As far as babies go?
No, sorry, just I'm going to transition back to our slide set and close this discussion down shortly. So if there was anything else that you just want to say, you know, offer in this time.
I would reiterate scheduling time for yourself and being committed to keeping that time for yourself, because like Yinka said, you can work all day, you know, you can work from 8 to 8 and not even realize you didn't even eat lunch or breakfast for that matter. So I think it is very important to schedule that time for yourself. Be committed to saying, okay, if I'm leaving at 5, I need to close this laptop at 5 and just cook, clean, walk, soak, whatever you need to do, listen to music, just, try to keep that time for yourself. So I think that's really important.
Thank you all. Within the chat, I see a comment, sleep, move, eat. I like that as a simple, reminder of things. And patience is also listed there as something that everyone probably, we probably don't ever have enough of that, whether it's asking the children to have it with us or applying it to our family members. So thank you all for the insights. Thank you, panelists, for your insights. Thank you, participants, for the items you've put into the chat. I'm going to bring us back to the presentation and just offer a few more sort of what's coming with our WorkWell NYC programming, and then we'll close. So there was conversation already about this, the virtual fitness schedule. So this is where it's available. This is what it entails. And if Bethany's on and can support dropping the link in the chat box, you can, but this is available from our webpage. You can access our schedule with the various fitness classes. And I think yoga and meditation and these sort of, not fitness, but mental health support kind of classes. In addition, in the fitness realm, this Fit Fest is October 3rd. It's live, it's not virtual, in Cabin Plaza. So you can follow us, connect with the mailing list to get the details to register for this experience. So basically the virtual classes, some of the favorite instructors will be in person, and we'll do a socially distanced fitness class in the park together. Or several actual classes. There are different varieties of fitness classes being offered for this session. And our annual flu vaccine campaign. So the details are here, the website where you can get more information. Note that we're encouraging people to stay protected from the flu by getting vaccinated. And there are several ways that you can get vaccinated, including citywide clinics that are available within the 5 boroughs, in addition to pharmacies and your regular doctor office visits. And our last slide is just about how to stay connected with WorkWell NYC through our webpage, our email, and our Instagram handle. So please stay connected with us to be able to participate in more of this sort of conversation and other programming that we do. So I'm going to stop the share and check our chat, see if there's anything else. If I have a colleague on who can support by putting those items in the chat, if there's a way we can do that. And then the other, I would say, connect with us at WorkWell NYC or through the WorkWell NYC email to stay connected and get more about any of the things that were listed there. So with that, we will close. Thank you again for participating, and we wish you all continued wellness. All right, bye for now.
Thank you.